Call the meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Cockrell?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mrs. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. First item of the special meeting will be Ms. Ena.
Good evening, President Allen, Mr. Perry, members of the board. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Our first order of business tonight is to take action on the employment of using Stephen L. Smith Corporation as our financial consultants for the district for the 23-24 school year. And we do have a representative, Mr. Andy Davis is here with us, and Mr. Davis has been a huge help in all of our past bond issues, but also the one that we're here to talk about this evening.
Ms. Ena, if I have no problems with Mr. Davis, as long as he brings us reports where we can read them.
Duly
Instead of
noted.
that font that he brings to us that you can't read. If he can promise to do that, then I have to maybe support him, so.
Yes, sir.
Any questions on the employment of Stephen L. Davis, or Stephen L. Smith? Any discussion?
Make a motion to approve. I'll second.
Got a motion and a second, please call the roll.
Mrs. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Cockrell?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mrs. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Thank you.
Next item, I believe that we're presenting it to you. You can take no action. We have all 5 members, board members here, but it is board to consider and take possible action in the absence of the president or clerk to appoint an acting president or clerk for the school district to execute any and all documents pertaining to the calling of a special election to authorize general obligation bonds. So I don't believe there's any action needed to be taken.
There's no action because it does say action item. Do we need
It
Take
just
action
says
on it.
possible action if you or I were not here.
but do we need a vote that that's acceptable, or how do we need to handle that?
We'll have to vote because it's not, since it's
Okay.
action, we have to vote.
Okay.
Any discussion?
Make a motion to approve. I'll second.
Motion and second, please call the roll.
Mrs. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Cockrell?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mrs. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes, next item, Mr. Perry.
If you'll pull out on your, you have a document there about the bond that we have bringing forth for 2023 this fall in November. We have vetted this out. We put together a long-range planning committee that has, we've had 2 meetings with them, and they have put things together of the priorities across the district. Our staff has, our parent has, our staff has done a survey, parents have done a survey, and so we're bringing this to you, excuse me, for November 14th to be voted on. It's $52 million, and it's a general obligation bond. Ms. Ena, do you mind talking about that and what that entails?
So the past 2 bond elections that Broken Arrow has done in 2009 and 2015 have been substantially large lease revenue bonds. And so what that has meant for the district is, because of the debt limitations that we as a district can go out for, we were able to go out for larger scale bond issues to complete significant capital improvement quickly. What we're going back to is a traditional general obligation bond that most school districts engage in to sell bonds yearly at a certain amount that's dependent upon our tax levy and our district valuation. And so the advantage of doing a general obligation bond is definitely in terms of how interest is calculated and computed, and not paying the additional interest and fees. And so with this smaller general obligation bonds, it keeps us within our debt capacity and allows us to take care of some infrastructure needs.
So Ms.
Thank
Ena,
you.
at the end of the day, the more dollars are going towards projects versus fees and interest, correct? So we get more brick and mortar than we would traditionally from,
That is correct.
thank you.
And the big thing about this is there is no new tax increase, or there's no tax increase with this. Bond is in result of our valuations from both Wagner and Tulsa County. going up this past year, and we want to take advantage of that, and a lot of needs across the district. A lot of it going into 20,000 plus students hitting this year. Our previous bond hit 13 new sites, 37 renovations and additions across the district. And we still have 2 projects you'll see on Proposition 3 and 4 that need to be voted on. And no doubt, one of the biggest concerns we have is safety across the district, and it's something we want to address in this part. Going on to the first question, it's $48 million. We have a safety proposal on there with a fence around Broken Arrow High School, cameras, radios, facility improvements for roofs, HVACs, furniture, parking lots, technology involving Wi-Fi, Chromebooks, classroom displays, transportation, terminal at the south end of the district to make sure that we get the elementary start times earlier. Elementary departure times earlier than we are now. Right now, we're getting out close to 4 o'clock. We'd like to be closer to 3:30 on those. Questions? Yeah, go ahead.
So that $48 million, we've got $5 million for safety and security, $14.2 million for district maintenance and building improvements, $18.5 million for technology, $4 million for fine arts renovations, $1.8 million for tennis, and $4.5 million for the transportation center.
Just one quick question in regards to the facility improvements. I know during our retreat, we had some conversations about our HVACs, our rooftop units and things. Is this addressing some of those, all of those, a majority? Where does it put us with this improvement?
Yes, our HVAC units, we have about 19,000, is that correct? 1,900, I'm sorry, 1,900 across the district. Many of them are 20 to 30 years old. Do you recall the percentage of those that are 20 to 30 years old?
25 to 30% are over 20 years old.
Okay. And so that's something that we have to address, and
Certainly.
especially the first couple of weeks of school, that's a major concern. We had a roof audit a year ago, and it was showed that many of our roofs were a D or an F rated, and we have lots of leaks. And a rainy day, we're going to have trash cans all across the district, just dripping water from the roof. So that will be that part of that proposition there to get those things fixed. Not all of it, but a large portion of that money. The cameras in the safety and security part are a big deal. We're finding that a lot of our technology we have today is outdated. Mr. Blackburn and Mr. Martin have done a lot of research too on our radios and dispatch center, and we need to update those. The system we have now is over 10 years old. And then lighting in our parking lots. We've talked about at the high school, there is a great need to increase the lighting, and it worries me after those football games, how many people, having 10, 12,000 people there, and not being able to see. I'm worried about a kid running out, and I think that'll address those in the safety portion of it. As we grow as a District 2, technology, it's just going to be always trying to keep up with those needs, and we have approximately, did you hit that amount there, Natalie? $18.5 million accounted for with that. Wi-Fi and infrastructure upgrades, desktop and tablet replacements, classroom display and audio upgrades, Chromebooks and instructional software, and to maintain the replacement cycle of our Chromebooks is just, again, part of this, and we have to do that as a district if we want to maintain our one-to-one. Questions about the technology part? Transportation terminal, as I said, we want to have an earlier release time for our elementary schools, and we'd like to put a new transportation terminal on the south side of the district. We feel like that will really box together our gaps in between our different start times between elementary, middle school, and high school. It will have a fueling station, fleet center, and maintenance bays. And that's, if I go to an elementary school and talk to their staff, that'll be the number one thing that they talk about is, can we get out earlier? They don't feel like that 4 o'clock start time is conducive to learning in the latter part of the day. The route times, we've been working on that. We made a big step on that, I would say about 3 or 4 years ago, and then we didn't, we got to, as we continue to grow and all these homes going up, we're going to have to continue to do that, and that south terminal will help that. Any questions about that?
Well, the south terminal, once we get started, then as the district continues to grow, how much expansion room will we have there?
I wouldn't know offhand. It's about she said about a third of our current facility that we have right now. It won't be the same size, but it will definitely help out. And just the way our routes from our elementary to middle school to high school, 2 high schools right now on 2 separate sides of the city will allow us to keep those routes shorter and shorter every time we add those.
So it's gonna eliminate the time that students are on buses?
Absolutely.
I'm sure parents will love that.
Yeah. We hit the facilities you asked about, Mr. Denton, the roof replacements, 13 rated D or F. HVAC replacement, 181 units with an average of 26 years. Furniture and fixtures, you can build new buildings all day, but those furniture and fixtures get quite expensive keeping up with that. Fine arts renovations at the high school. That was something when we added on to the high school about 10 years ago with the 2009 bond. Those additions were built for 11th and 12th grade only. We added the 10th graders to that campus, and they were, from day one, really honestly, overcrowded. We have instruments in the hallway. And then our tennis facility, is not up to par with other 6A schools across the district. Questions about that? So that would be make up question 1, or proposition 1, I'm sorry, for $48 million. And then moving over to proposition 2, that would be $4 million. And by law, we have to pull the transportation out separately for any of our yellow fleet. We running 200 routes per day, over 115 square miles, and we drive enough miles with all our buses to drive to the state of Washington and back every day. And that just puts a lot of mileage on our buses, and our average age of our bus is over 13 years old, and the bus costs are going up and up. So about $4 million allotted to increase our fleet that we have now. Any questions about that? Proposition question 3. These are, I'm worried about the clarity of them to some degree because they are nothing additional. These are changes, slight changes that we've made from the 2015 bond issue on the elementary 17. That was, we have money set aside for that. And do you want to talk about that, how much that is?
So in 2015, elementary 17 was voted on at $30 million. And so this is giving us flexibility to change that from a separate standalone elementary to adding on to additional spaces.
Mr. Perry, will that, by doing that and utilizing those dollars that way, would that help eliminate possibly redistricting?
Yes, it'll minimize redistricting,
Minimize them.
I would say.
Okay.
We have identified 5 sites that alternate bids were placed on and we didn't have enough money for back part of that 2015 bond issue, and really 2015 and 2009. But we think this would be a better use of dollars. Elementary 17 would only hold about 300 students, 300, 400 students, and you have that replication of general fund costs with principals and teachers, and I think this will be a wiser investment for our taxpayer dollars to go to these pods or additional wings to add on to these sites. There are 5 sites we've identified: Aspen Creek, Highland Park, Rosewood, Timber Ridge, and Creekwood. We have met with all those principals. We have not made a final decision yet on which of those sites we will add to, but that's one we were considering. But this would take a revote to change that 2015 bond allocation for one elementary school into adding classrooms at those sites. So again, nothing changes on how much money will be spent. Nothing will change on any additional dollars. It's just that vote has to happen for us to do that.
How many pods or classrooms will that $30 million get us?
Well, at the rising rate of construction, it's less and less all the time. Mr. Leach, do you have a rough number for that?
Approximately 30 classrooms.
30 classrooms.
Any other questions for that? Question 4 will be the location of the aquatic center, and that's been something I know a lot of residents in Broken Arrow have been waiting for quite a long time. Right now, currently, again, from the 2015 bond issue, we have the aquatic center slated to be built at Kirkland Athletic Complex, and that address is on there on the language of the 2015 bond. And all this is doing will give us flexibility to build that at another site. We've been in talks with the city about Elam Park that is a planned development in the south part of the district. We haven't had we haven't landed on a decision yet with the city in regard to is that the best site. There's a lot of questions still be had about the infrastructure side, and we don't want to take any money away from the project itself or the building itself. So we're still working with the city, but that would give us the flexibility to form that partnership long-term and would help in the actual operating costs that come out of our general revenue. But again, there's no change to the amount or the timeline for that.
So just for clarity, Mr. Perry, so this just allows you to build the pool wherever you need to that's best suited for the district at the time when it's going to be built?
Yes.
During that phase of the bond project?
Totally 100% correct. And it's, I think our major concern with that will be building the best facility we can that has the longest and biggest impact for our swim program. That's who this facility will be built for, and I'm looking forward to landing on a decision where we're still looking at partnerships if it doesn't work with the city, even private industries out there, private companies that would want to work with us, and we see a lot of opportunities for the community as an added amenity. But as far as our main focus is for our swim program itself.
So it could very well be built where the bond language originally put it.
Absolutely.
But just revoting that gives us some flexibility.
It does.
Perfect.
So again, just a little recap is $52 million. And I'll let Ms. Hena talk about the lifespan of that. Very thankful for the growth in the district, and I think these additional dollars will take care of a lot of projects that we're behind on, maybe not in buildings, but just maintenance. And we've talked about you buy a brand new car, that doesn't mean you can't get away with not changing the, rotating the tires, changing the oil, and it's, I think, it's much needed to put this together for the district. I will say that long-range planning committee too, I want to thank them and their part in that. 2 very long meetings, And they put together, I think, some of the highest priority things. We had about $90 million on our original list, and we're trying to pare that down to 52 that we have available. And again, there will be no tax increase with it.
Keeping our millage rate consistent at 29 to 29.9.6 mils was important to us as we considered the overall financial health and well-being of this district. When the voters passed those two significant bond issues in 2009 and 2015, those bond issues did a lot of great things for this community, a lot of really brought us to where we needed to be very quickly. But the flip side of that is we incurred a lot of debt during those time periods. And so we were very fortunate that our growth, not only student growth, but our growth in the community, meaning our district valuation, has afforded us the opportunity to be able to go out for this smaller bond to cover some very much needed infrastructure needs, because the flip side of that is if we don't have that opportunity, that creates an enormous burden on our building fund, and that's a direct correlation to other needed maintenance projects that need to go on to keep this district running. And so we're very fortunate in Broken Arrow that our community is so supportive of us, and that business and industry and homes are flourishing and people are moving into the district for the school system, and that's what's allowing us to go out for this additional funding.
Ms. Enoff, who would you say is a comparable district from a growth standpoint in our area?
Owasso and Bixby are both continuing to grow very quickly. Collinsville is seeing a pretty strong uptick in growth.
So what would you say our millage rate, how it compares to Bixby?
Last time we looked, about a year ago, we were behind Bixby. Bixby was over 33 mils. I think Jinx was also in the 33 range, and Owasso and Union were behind us. And so this keeps us right in the middle of the pack for our suburban neighbors.
So we could get more money if we were willing to raise taxes.
Correct.
Okay, that's,
It says a lot that
It does.
we've grown like we've had and maintained lower millage rates than our surrounding suburban areas, and provided great facilities for our students and teachers.
So with all that, those four propositions, we're asking you to take action on those separate resolutions authorizing the calling and holding of a special election to be held in the school district to authorize the issuance of general obligation bonds. Again, that will be November 14th would be the day that we vote on.
can I ask one more question?
Sure.
Our last bond kind of got us in a pickle as far as, paying it back, like, to like 2034. This is not going to tie our hands like that last one?
We do not foresee any issues with capacity or, with the 2015 bond, we just had a very tight year in 2022 where we had several bonds being paid off in that particular year that our capacity was extremely tight. We were also coming off kind of the tail end of COVID when we were kind of uncertain about which direction the economy was going, and luckily continued to go in the right direction, but we do not foresee any issues with this.
Any more questions or discussion? Entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we approve.
Second that motion.
Got a motion and a second, please call the roll.
Mrs. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Cockrell?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mrs. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Next item to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and second, please call the roll.
Mrs. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Cockrell?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mrs. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Meeting will start in 6 minutes. 6 minutes.
email or call me somewhere they're ready. I'll probably just come get them. We get it all the time anyway, so save you guys a trip. And I've got to go to just go get Karen here next day or two anyway, so I might just do them on the way out there. So that work? All right. Thank you, Jen. I appreciate your help. Yeah.
Thank you for helping.
Yeah. Anything else from me? All right. Thanks. Sure, you guys did a good job.
Were you collecting? Oh my goodness, this is really that's funny. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. That's okay. Sorry about USB.
Oh, that's okay.
Call the meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Taylor? Yes. Mr. Cockrell?
Yes.
Mrs. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Next item will be the moment of silence led by our Board Vice President, Mr. Jerry Denton.
As we begin this meeting, let us pause for a 60-second moment of silence to reflect, meditate, pray, or engage in other silent activity. Thank you.
Next item will be the Pledge of Allegiance led by our Board Clerk, Ms. Brandy Roulette.
Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item will be the approval of the board meeting minutes from July 17th. Any discussion?
Make a motion to approve?
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Cockrell?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mrs. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Abstain. Next item, number 5.
We didn't get voting.
We may not have one because it's kind of acting up. She's going
Oh,
to
is
take
it?
it manually,
Okay.
I believe, yeah. Okay, Ms. Boker.
Good evening, Superintendent Perry, President Allen, and members of the board. Tonight, I bring to you a candidate for approval to serve as the principal of Aspen Creek Early Childhood Center, Mrs. Kim Fry. Kim began her career in education 24 years ago. She taught music for 9 years in Brooklyn, New York, Dallas, Texas, and Jinx before coming to Broken Arrow. This is her 16th year with Broken Arrow Schools, having begun in 2008. She became the Child and Family Resource Specialist when BA opened the 4 standalone ECCs in 2013 at Park Lane Early Childhood Center. She served in that role for 7 years. While there, she earned her master's degree in administration and also participated in one of BA's aspiring admin academies. She has been an elementary assistant principal for 3 years, most recently at Country Lane Intermediate. Any questions?
Questions or discussion?
Make a motion to approve?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Cockrell?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mrs. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Is Ms. Fry here?
She is, right back there.
Ms. Fry, congratulations. Thank you for all your years of service. I saw one man that's lacking hair with you here this evening, so if you would like to introduce him and any of your other special guests.
Okay, this is my husband Mark, who's probably not a stranger to many of you in this room. And if he is, he won't be forgotten. It makes friends wherever he goes. This is my wonderful mother and father-in-law of 30 years, Jean and Darlene Fry, who live in Jinx. And this is my daughter Tammy, who is a Broken Arrow K-12 student, been here since kindergarten, and will be attending UCO, leaving in a week to go to UCO.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Next item, Ms. Peterson.
Good evening, Mr. Perry, President Allen, and members of the board. Tonight, with the approval of Ms. Fry, that left us with an opening at Wolf Creek Elementary for the assistant principal. And we have been so fortunate this year with the talent that we have found in all those that are serving in the assistant principal roles. Tonight, I'm bringing to you Miss Alicia Rogers. She is coming to us with a lot of experience. She has served as a first and a second grade teacher. She was reading recovery trained and served in Fort Gibson schools for, I believe, about 14 years as a reading recovery teacher as well as an instructional coach. She then moved on and has served as an assistant principal and a principal at Tahlequah, and then went to a really small town in Kansas and served as a superintendent. She realized then she wanted to get back closer to home, and so she is back, and that is fortunate for us. And so tonight I bring to you Miss Alicia Rogers to serve as the assistant principal at Wolf Creek upon your approval.
Any discussion?
Make a motion to approve?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Cockrell?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mrs. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Ms. Rogers here this evening?
Yes, she is.
Ms. Rogers, welcome to Broken Arrow. Do you have any special guests or anything this evening? All right. Well, welcome to the Tiger family. Next item, Mr. Sappington.
Good evening, Mr. Perry, President Allen, members of the board. Tonight, we are seeking your approval to hire Tamitha Ogilvy as the principal at Centennial Middle School. Ms. Ogilvy has most recently served in the role of assistant principal at Sequoia Middle School. And then before that, she also served as an intern AP at Broken Arrow High School. So we are very excited about Ms. Ogilvy taking on this new leadership role.
Questions or discussion?
Make a motion to approve?
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Cockrell?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mrs. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Is Ms. Ogilvy here? Hey.
Oh.
Congratulations. Any?
just want to say that I'm playing solo tonight. There's safety in my here. I'm so honored. I'm a little excited, and I'm ready to dive in and get to work. So I appreciate this.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Congratulations.
Now, does that leave an opening tomorrow?
I'd be remiss to say this. We had conversations today at our welcome back to the elementary teachers, and for the new principal hires, just know this, our board, we've talked about this in retreat. We've talked about this as our kind of our expectation and vision. We want order in our classrooms. We support you all in that effort to have order in our classrooms and what you need to do, so we support you. So just know that coming in, being a principal at Broken Arrow Public Schools, our kids are going to act right going to school at Broken Arrow Public Schools. So just want you to know that. Ms. Ena, next item.
Good evening again. It's my pleasure to recommend the board this evening to approve the Director of Purchasing position to Ms. Elizabeth Youngquist-Sapp. Ms. Youngquist-Sapp has been with us in Broken Arrow for 11 years and served in a variety of roles in our finance and accounts payable department, in our student information department, and finally back to finance and purchasing for the past several years. It's my honor and privilege to recommend Ms. Youngquist-Sapp as our new Director of Purchasing. Her work ethic is second to none. Customer service is outstanding, and more than anything, she is just a good, dedicated employee, and we are very lucky to have her in this district.
Any questions or discussion?
Make a motion to approve?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Cockrell?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mrs. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Miss Elizabeth? There she is. Congratulations. Any special guests or anything you'd like to say?
I have people in here, Ken Sapp and our mom here.
All right. Congratulations. Next item, comments from the public. We have none. Next item will be general consent items 11 through 58. Are there any discussion? Would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Cockrell?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mrs. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Next item, 59. Mr. Spencer.
There he
There
is.
he is.
All right, good evening, President Allen, Mr. Perry, members of the board. I am back again tonight, unfortunately, to say that we have to go in a different direction on the stadium equipment replacement purchase that I brought to you last month. The vendor that we went with, iMedia, had some complications as far as securing the financing. And so we are here tonight to ask for approval on the purchase agreement with Ford AV, who, as you know, is doing the stadium project currently for the sound system and is a vendor. It's a large national company that we trust and that we have worked with before. So, any questions on what happened with iMedia or anything like that? No?
We'll have to vote to reject the original bid, and then we can vote for Ford AV.
Okay, so this is to reject their bid of 121,
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
and that financially weren't able to hold up their end of the,
Yeah, it's a small local company. There had been some complications with one of his business partners who passed away in the fall. I think he took on probably more than he was able to take on. Unfortunately, that, sets us back a little bit as far as our timetable. And then we have to go in another direction with the new bid.
first
The
first
second
item's
bid.
gonna be to reject,
Yeah.
to vote to reject iMedia's approved bid.
I make a motion to reject the bid for iMedia.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second, please call the roll.
Mrs. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Cockrell?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mrs. Roulette? Mr. Allen?
Yes, next item, Mr. Spencer.
Yes, so now I'm here tonight to ask you to approve the purchase agreement with Ford AV. Jumped ahead there earlier, but
That's all right.
it's all the same equipment that we approved last month. It's literally everything the same. The only difference is there's
Bigger price tag.
bigger price tag in terms of, I think they, them being a larger national company, they give a little bit more support in terms of what they're doing on the installation end and things like that, and the warranty and whatnot. So, the biggest difference in the price tags, if you see there, is mostly the labor. They were cutting us quite a bit of deal on the labor with iMedia.
It doesn't really matter what it is if you can't do it.
Exactly.
So-
Yeah.
All right. Any questions or discussion?
Make a motion to accept the bid from Ford AV.
I'll second.
Motion and second, please call the roll.
Mrs. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Cockrell?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mrs. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Spencer.
Thank you, guys.
Next item's new business. We have none. Next item will be to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion and second, please call the roll.
Mrs. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Cockrell?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mrs. Roulette?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Thank you all.